When we're coaching in Zone's view, what we're looking at is a percentage of output. We watch those percentages go up and down, and when they're going up and down, I know if they're engaged. It's awesome. In leaderboard view, when the user is taking a session, there's a flow chart that they're watching. This is their output in real time on 5-second cuts.
Studio app is a game changer for both the coach and the trainer as far as just increasing the engagement and reaching people across the whole world.
I'm Clint Gady, head coach, co-founder here at Xer. I've been coaching for the past 20 years, and it's simple. We built Xer to empower coaches to engage with their communities and grow their businesses.
Thank you, Club Industry, for hosting this great 2 days, and really appreciate being part of this great agenda with all these thought leaders in the industry and all these topics that we can all learn from. So appreciate being included. Thank you. My discussion today is really going to be sharing some thoughts on how the fitness industry can become an essential industry, which, as we know, has been a hot topic for us and our number one challenge during this pandemic because we are not viewed as essential. And so what I thought I'd do today is share some thought starters. My hope is that this sparks conversation, more discussion, and more ideas. And so I wanted to just get us going with some initial thoughts I had. But first, I thought it would be helpful for those that may not know is what is an essential industry? Who owns the definition of that? So the actual technical definition comes from the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. It's a government agency. You can go to their website, and they have a very long and lengthy definition of all the essential workers and essential categories. If you look under health, for those that have not done it, it includes almost every health-related job except for fitness, which, as we know, we have suffered the consequences of that lack of being included. But besides the technical definition, I think it's important to think about how does the government, the public, and the media define essential. And what's interesting is you would think the government would use their own technical definition, but actually, as we have seen, they are influenced by lobbyists. They are influenced by large coalitions. I think the restaurant industry, I think the live music industry are some that have gotten relief or more attention beyond being essential thanks to their efforts. So it's important to note that we can influence, if we're able to work collectively with the right platform, influence the government, even if we're not viewed as essential. Probably the most important is the public lens, because public defines essential as the things that are most meaningful to them. And while we have had phenomenal growth in the fitness industry, we're still not a huge part of everyone's life in America. We are, not everyone participates in regular exercise or is a member of a health club. We know even in the health club business, 40% of people or over 40% of the people join and never come. So from a broad public engagement, our actual pool is not as big as many other industries like restaurants because everybody goes out to eat. So we need to do a lot of work to engage people who are not in our industry to think we're important. The people that do actively participate often find other solutions as they found during this pandemic. They buy a Peloton, et cetera. So didn't view our plight as particularly urgent and therefore didn't lobby on our behalf to be essential. So I think the broad public is the most important place where we should spend some time influencing and thinking about how we can engage more people who will then engage their elected officials to view us as essential. And finally, the media. The media is critical in deciding who is essential and who's not. Unfortunately, I have no great insights on this. They have definitely not been friendly to our industry, but my hope is if we do some things differently and get the public engaged, they get their officials engaged, then we can get the media engaged. But media, unfortunately, is probably one that we have the biggest challenge in trying to influence. So 4 ideas I wanted to share. One is to evolve our image really from being focused on vanity and performance to focused on health. 2, align our KPIs with the health industry so that we do have shared end games and therefore they include us as essential. 3, be viewed as go-to experts. And 4, insert ourselves into the health conversation because there are many conversations around health happening, but we're not part of them. So I'm going to go into each of these with some thoughts and some examples, and again, hoping to start some conversations for all of us. So today, the fitness industry image is really focused on vanity and performance. If you look at most imagery that's out there, most messaging that's out there is, if you ask the question, why exercise? The answer tends to be look better or perform better. How to exercise? The message tends to be harder, faster, more intense, the better. And so it's an intimidating message, because those that are engaged, that's what appeals to them. But if you're not engaged, that's quite intimidating. But we continue to push more and more into the performance, faster, better, burn messaging, which I believe is one of the reasons we are not engaging more people and alienating others. And then finally, who succeeds at exercise? Very fit people. That's pretty much the primary image we have out there. We heard a lot about this from public health officials. They have a very narrow view of the fitness industry, and they think it's just for people who are very fit versus for the average person. So we need to change that perception. So I took just a couple screenshots of, current headlines. Men's Health. Here is a headline around the 7-minute push-up. And if you read the fine print, it says, this is a way to get your chest to burn in 7 minutes. Pop Sugar Fitness, very broad cultural appeal. Here's a 30-minute workout and you'll be pretty damn sore when it's done. That's not overly inclusive. Women's Health, which should be really focused on a broader health message. When you look at their workouts, it's things that burn, things that are hard. And this is one of my favorites, when someone's positioned as an everyday athlete workout. But if you look at this athlete, she is definitely not an everyday athlete. Most people do not look like that. So this is just a snapshot, but I think if we all look at anything related to fitness on Instagram and any other social media channel, in all of the publications that support fitness, this tends to be what people see. And so quite alienating and hard to view that looking this fit is essential. It definitely feels much more like a vanity or a performance play. So I thought it'd be helpful to share some industries that I think do health quite well or have changed the perception in their industry. So one is pharmaceuticals, who, their message is take a pill and you will be living your best life. Those long infomercials, people are running through the fields and, hanging out with their family. And it's, you take this little blue pill or this little red pill, you will live your best life. And they really promote this idea of health. I use the example of Claritin. I think the pharmaceutical puts hope in a pill. And here's their imagery: weddings, puppies, kids, family. I've been in marketing for a long time, and the three things that sell are babies, puppies, and sex. So they've covered two of the three here. But what they've done is really put an inclusive message around health and give people hope that if they do this, they will be happier and healthier. So versus, as I mentioned, our imagery that's much more vanity and performance oriented. Weight Watchers has done a phenomenal job. I think their campaign around famous people and making them relatable, even famous people struggle with their weight. They used Oprah, very much of a message, let's do this together. I'm going to do it with you. She's, one of America's favorite celebrities. And so she's showing her struggles, and together we're going to get through this. James Corden, their new one, if you read his paragraph, it's, I wanted to change the way I live so I could be better for my children and my family. Again, a great health message, nothing to do with vanity, nothing to make it feel hard. It's very inclusive. So I think we could learn some cues from this. And then one of my personal favorites, I love what Dove has done. They started this Real Beauty campaign a few years ago, really to redefine the beauty industry. Beauty used to be about hope in a jar. They showed beautiful models looking fantastic. And, you put this cream on and you'll look 50 years younger. And Dove disrupted that in a big way, which I think has broadened their appeal and grown their business. And they really have put forth this idea of beauty as confidence. And so messages like the next generation will do beauty on their own terms. And they have this great campaign where they show really broad range of women and ask the question is, if you look at this woman in the top quarter, is she fat or is she fit? And obviously she looks great. So redefining the beauty standard in a much healthier way. So I think those are three examples of how we could learn how to potentially evolve our image to better communicate and include others and say we're essential because we're fundamental to living a happy life. So how do we learn from them? I think we need to focus on why exercise matters versus how hard it is. I love the idea of sort of hope in a workout. If you do a workout, you will feel better, live longer, be able to run around with your kids versus your chest will burn and you'll be pretty damn sore. So that's my first thought that I'd love to have further discussion on, is how do we evolve our image? The second is align our KPIs with the health industry. The fitness KPIs, we have a lot, but the core of our business, as we know, is membership growth. It's revenue and EBITDA growth, and it's business metrics. And we look at that as business leaders, investors in the space, private equity, et cetera, looks at that as fitness is amazing. They've got great EBITDA margins and great EBITDA growth, et cetera, but very business focused. We do not share what I'm calling people metrics. If you look at health KPIs, these are some examples. We work closely with the CEO of Dignity Health, which is a very large medical group in California. And the CEO was telling me that, his KPI is less heads in beds, less sick people. And his second one is decrease in chronic illnesses. So this year they're tackling hypertension, and everybody in the organization is, how do we get people to lower their blood pressure and reduce their hypertension? So much more people focused. And when you have different KPIs like this, it's very hard to have a shared dialogue and a shared conversation. So I would suggest that we should think about, how do we align our KPIs in a way that we have a common language that's a win-win for both. The second part of our KPIs is, if you think about the growth of fitness and health, we constantly share charts like this where membership has grown in fitness. We show where units have grown, businesses have grown, et cetera. But if you look at the real health metrics, obesity has grown from 30 to 42%. Hypertension, nearly half adults in America have hypertension. Diabetes has gone from 1.6 million people about 50 years ago to 23 million people. If anyone showed KPIs like this that said, we're in this business to fix this problem, we would consider this an epic fail. Now, obviously, nutrition, there's many other things involved in treating these, but we do need to reconcile for our government officials, for the public, for public health, how our growth is impacting this. Can any of us answer the question of, have we really lowered obesity in our neighborhoods where we've put a club? Probably not. I know I can't answer that. So I would suggest that we could work together to figure out, how can we get more people and health related metrics that we can share then and have a conversation with somebody in the essential health industry and show how we're having an impact on health from a fact-based and analytical standpoint. So that's the second suggestion. I think we need to come up with shared KPIs. And so I discussed this a little bit. So how can we develop this, and how do we link exercise and fitness directly at the local level? The third is to be a go-to essential expert. I had a very interesting conversation with a lobbyist, actually, who said, one of the things that happens is big groups, industry groups, become the go-to experts. And so if anyone has a question or needs more information, they go to those industry groups. Clearly for health, people are going to go to the medical profession. They're going to go to the scientific community. Those are communities that have gone to school and live and breathe health expertise. They are not going to call a fitness operator. And we really aren't. We know a lot about it, but you can't compare the average club general manager health expertise to that of a doctor who's gone to medical school. However, I do think we have a really unique expertise that's a huge challenge for the medical community. And that is, we are great at motivation and healthy habits. One of the things we hear repeatedly from the medical community is, while they prescribe medication, no one takes it. How did the dental industry get us to all brush our teeth every day? Flossing they haven't done so well at, but they've gotten us to brush our teeth and made that important. But we are good at helping people stay motivated, find ways to continue to have healthy habits. So what if this becomes our expertise? How do we get credit for being the motivation expert? So they don't call Tony Robbins, and they call the fitness industry and say, hey, this is a community where we're seeing a rise in type 2 diabetes. Help us, let's work together to share and motivate people to develop healthy habits to address diabetes in this community. Who am I going to call? I'm going to call my local fitness company because they're great at this. So if we have an expertise, we become essential. So I think getting known for and leaning into this strength, there may be other expertises we have. This is one I'm suggesting. But by having an expertise, you become essential because then people come to you as the go-to expert. And then the last topic that I will share is inserting ourselves in the conversation. I've worked in many industries, and I have never worked in an industry that has more conferences, more roundtables, more webinars sort of with each other. It's remarkable, and I think great in many ways because we're collaborating and learning from each other. I think quite negative in some ways because we are very internal and insular in how we look at the world. So we're talking to each other, but we're not participating in conversations that are happening out there. And so here's 3 big conferences or 4 that I would suggest we should be not only attending, but speaking at. So I've been to Fortune Brainstorm Health twice as an audience member. And people would say, what are you doing here? You run a health club. Every other part of health was represented in the agenda: sleep, meditation, and then obviously doctors, scientists, etc. Nobody from fitness. Weight Watchers, they've all been represented on the agenda. No one from fitness. Michael Milken does a huge global summit every year, the Milken Institute on Health. Same thing. No one from fitness, every other category represented. South by Southwest, one of the most iconic conferences that happen that appeals to many in the public. It's a huge influencer conference. They have a whole health module, nothing about fitness. They're covering every other topic. So we need to not only attend these health conferences so people see us as part of the audience that cares about health, but we need to work together to get ourselves on the panels. They're talking about the importance of fitness and exercise in health and how it's actually one of the lowest cost and easiest ways to reverse these chronic illness trends, which we all know that, but the broad world doesn't know that. And we're not even being included in the discussion around health. So I think one of the goals we should set individually and collectively for ourselves is attend these conferences. They're quite interesting. Interest at the Fortune Brainstorm Health. I actually met the CEO of Kaiser, Dr. Tyson, and we were starting a conversation about collaboration around healthy habits. Sadly, he passed away unexpectedly, as many may know. So kind of back to square one at Kaiser, but we could make those relationships and all of a sudden start these narratives. So we need to maybe reduce some of the internal collaboration we're doing, free up our time and go and learn, participate and share, and be viewed as, I'm having a conversation on health. Who am I going to have to represent the fitness industry? So those are some thoughts. Again, they're not the answers. I think, again, the 4 ideas are: how do we evolve our image from vanity and performance to health? That, again, a workout is a hope in a bottle, a hope for a healthy life, a happy life, a long life. How do we align our KPIs with the health industry? How do we be viewed as the go-to motivation and healthy habits experts? So anyone needs to motivate. Imagine if we had been called on how to get people to wear masks, right? Masks became a very key part of prevention of COVID. Huge struggle around it. If people had said, hey, I want to call the fitness industry, they motivate people to change their behavior. Maybe they can help us with getting people to wear masks. All of a sudden, we're essential in the conversation. And then last but not least, insert ourselves in these health conversations. I'm happy to share conferences I've been to that I found helpful. And then we should work together to figure out how do we get someone from our industry on those panels talking about the role of fitness as a key part of the health ecosystem. So thank you, everyone, for listening. I hope these thoughts were helpful. Again, they're meant to start conversations. Really appreciate being part of this agenda. And again, thank you to Club Industry for pulling us all together and helping us think about the future of fitness. Very grateful to be part of this. But I'd love to continue these conversations. I'd love to hear your ideas on how we can be viewed as essential and how we can work together to really change the face of our industry so we never repeat what we've all gone through for the last 12 months. So please reach out. I look forward to talking more about this. And again, thank you all, and look forward to seeing you at least via Zoom or in person, hopefully soon. Thank you.